Mr. Speaker, Albertans and all Canadians are reeling from the horrific Humboldt Broncos crash that claimed 15 lives. The pain of this loss is staggering. It transcends this legislature, this province, and this country. It is far from just us who rise today to pay our respects and to mourn. It is a safe bet that the name Humboldt Broncos is being uttered in every coffee shop, community club, schoolyard, and place of worship across Alberta, Saskatchewan, and beyond. Because really, there is not an Albertan who doesn't in some way see themselves and their loved ones in this tragedy. I know I hugged my kids tighter, and I'm sure that that goes for a lot of us. After all, our children, our families, and our communities are what unite all of us. This is about families who have lost children and loved ones. And it's about communities who have lost bright, young stars and dedicated leaders. And it is about the connections between kids, coaches, families, fans, and everyone who ever volunteered in their community. Those connections make us neighbors, they make us friends, and they make us Canadians. They fill us with pride, with hope, and with optimism. And they bring us together now to hold one another and comfort one another in the face of tragedy, to lift one another up when the weight of that tragedy is upon us, and to remember forever and always the beautiful group of people that we lost. We grieve for the 10 incredible young men who were at the beginning of their careers and their lives. Adam Harold, Connor Lucan, Evan Thomas, Jackson Joseph, Jacob Light, Logan Boulay, Logan Hunter, Logan Schatz, Parker Tobin, Stephen Wack. They all ranged in age from 17 to 21. So young. That crash, it claimed their potential in sport, in their communities, and in achieving their ambitions and their dreams. It is a tragedy whose scope is beyond comprehension. Just last week, all members of this chamber had the honor of meeting many of Alberta's Winter Olympians and the honor of congratulating them. They sat up in that gallery. We looked up to them and we applauded. Many of those athletes know well what it's like to be on a bus, crisscrossing the prairies. It's an essential part of sport in Canada. And those Olympians were products of organizations like the Humboldt Broncos, organizations that cultivate and encourage the best of the best and strong, community-minded Canadians. Members of this House today turn our attention to the communities of Slave Lake, Spruce Grove, Lethbridge, Peace River, Edmonton, Stony Plain, and most tragically, St. Albert. Each and every part of Alberta where the memories of those lost and the suffering of those injured is more than a name. It's a memory of a young boy growing up down the street, a smiling face at a local fair, a big brother that was looked up to. This loss reverberates in a million ways through all the lives touched by these bright, unforgettable lights. We also grieve for the loss of head coach Darcy Hogan and assistant coach Mark Cross. Their leadership and their passion to inspire are now lost to this and future generations of hockey players, coaches, and community members. Darcy Hogan's hometown of Peace River is in mourning. We grieve for statistician Brody Hines, a dedicated, loyal, and much appreciated team volunteer and member. We grieve for Tyler Bieber, the Broncos play-by-play broadcaster. He was 29, not much older than the players. We grieve bus driver Glenn Dirksen, a dedicated family man who is remembered by the women and men who transport our kids from game to game and tournament to tournament. At yesterday's vigil in Humboldt, when the puck was supposed to be dropped, roses were dropped instead. Families, communities, hockey greats, and government representatives from all levels and all over the country came together, united in mourning and in remembrance. Sheldon Kennedy was at the vigil, along with other survivors of the 1986 bus crash that took the lives of 4 members of the Swift Current Broncos and injured 24 others. It was a strong and welcome statement of solidarity. It was also a stark reminder that countless teams on countless buses travel our roads every year in pursuit of their sport. It is a core part of life on our prairies. As we mourn those who were lost last week, we stand with the survivors, families, friends, and those who are recovering from injury. We thank and honor all the first responders and medical personnel, those who were on the horrific scene, and those who are caring for the survivors and families now. When we see a glimpse of the crash scene, we are reminded of the level of responsibility and sacrifice that those first responders and medical professionals meet and take on a daily basis, and how some days they are faced with tragedies that stand out and will never be forgotten. We thank them and we stand with them. And we will do all we can to comfort and support them through all of the sleepless nights that will surely follow. So, Mr. Speaker, for everyone who has been touched by this tragedy, the grief it has generated will not dissipate anytime soon. Let us remember that as this grief is processed over weeks, months, and years, we must be kind to one another. We must be compassionate. We must be the best of who we are as neighbours, Albertans, and Canadians. And to all of those struggling through this tragedy, if you need help, please ask for help. We are here for you, and I know I speak for all Albertans, and especially for everyone in this assembly, when I say we share your pain, and we, of course, are committed to ensuring that we help in whatever way we can. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.